Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hello, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have powerful conversations to transform your life and your business. Today's guest is Daniela Sulek. She says her entire life and being changed when she now calls humaning led to her developing a serious illness while pregnant with her third child, and almost cost her life. With her play your way through life philosophy, which I love, you know that, she now helps renowned yet unfulfilled leaders move into a permanent state of ease, joy, and passion. Welcome, Daniela, to the show.
Thank you so much, Teri. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So I'm excited. Let's dive in.
Yep.
How did you get to be where you're at today? Let's give just a kind of a backstory quickly, and then we'll jump into some of the deeper stuff in just a moment.
Good. Well, as you mentioned, so I was doing the humaning. So I was living as a regular mom, corporate job. I was doing the action, working hard, having deadlines, trying to manage everything, trying to control everything, having a lot of stress and worries about future, and constantly living in the kind of a stress and anxiety about the future. And not being present, consequently, having a lot of pain, chronic illnesses, and part of my personality is that I'm very stubborn. I'm a high achiever and very stubborn. So when I have a goal or something, I'll get it. And that's why I pushed. And I kind of like did not recognize the knocks life was giving me. It's like, no, this is not the way. This is not how we do it. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it this way. Until I ended up really sick when I was pregnant with my third kid, and I almost died. And that was kind of like not the small kick, that was a big kick. Yeah. And that was the big aha moment in terms of like, okay, this is not how I am going to live my life and how I want to live my life. And no, it was kind of like a complete switch from being stubborn and determined into doing things this way, complete switch into I'm not doing what others are doing. Even if everyone is doing it that way, I'm switching. And that kind of led me onto a different path and started huge acceleration and knowing who I am, who we are, why we are here. And that's how I got to where I am now.
Wow. Okay. So I got to pause for a second and back up, because you kind of glossed over like, hey, I almost died. Like, wait, did I hear that right? Like, wow. So you almost, so what led up? I mean, obviously the stress, and we know now that our body is kind of a direct reflection of everything that we're doing to our body and around our body and all of that other stuff. But so you had a serious illness that almost took your life. I mean, wow.
It was kind of like accumulation. I was constantly sick. So if I got a virus, like a regular, cold or flu, I would literally end up with pneumonia for like 2-3 weeks. And obviously I was working, opening my laptop and working from a bed. And plus being a mom of 2 small kids, plus running our household and all that stuff. And then when I was 2 months pregnant with my third kid, my son, I got pneumonia. And again, I didn't pay attention. I was kind of worried. I was worried. I was like, okay, well, this is not good. Hopefully everything will be okay. But I still didn't get it. I was still in the mind conditioning, the grit, the social conditioning, the who we are. I'm human. I'm going to push through this. Well, and when I was 8 months pregnant, I ended up in a hospital in an emergency, high fever, everything was beeping. And they told me, I didn't know what was going on. I just know that everything was beeping and they couldn't kind of figure out what was wrong. And then they told me, you have a flu and pneumonia. And then they started the recovery, or I started recovering. And the thing is that the really kind of like a point where I really got it was, it started at the emergency when everything was beeping and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And this is not how this probably should be. But then when I got a little bit better and I went to my doctor who delivered 2 of my older kids, I kind of expected the human thing, kind of like I almost died and I am a victim here. And, and he just kind of was glancing over the papers, the emergency papers, and, measured my belly and everything. And then he looked at me and said, what were you thinking? And I was like, excuse me, what were you thinking? You have 2 girls at home and you could have died. Pregnant women die at our table. And you're lucky because you had pneumonia and flu type B. If you had flu type A, we wouldn't have saved you. What were you thinking? I cried on my way home. I was driving. I remember I was driving. First, I was like full of anger. I was like, who is he? Like, how dare is he? And then I was like, hold on, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. These whole years, I have not been thinking. I was just doing. That kind of, like I often say that we have to get to a really, really point of very discomfort. And often it's breakup, marriage, illness, death of a loved one, something. So the mind stops the program and we shift. Yeah.
I agree. And I think you're right. There is so much. I love that you call it humaning, right? And you're right. Like, I think in this programming, indoctrination, if you want to say it that way, is like, we've had this, like the way, I'm using finger quotes here, but the way we should be, the way that we ought to be, the way that we need to be, the way, all this conditioning. Work hard, work harder, achieve. And I know that I have been a victim of that brainwashing, if you will, because it was like, okay, like I gotta perform. I gotta be the perfect person. I gotta be the perfect, and I gotta achieve. And I think it comes with a cost, and a massive cost, as you can see, and that you experienced. So here you are having this, wake up call. I would say the profound, nothing is going to be the same after this point in your life, because that was kind of the breaking point that says, okay, something has to shift. Something has to drastically shift to provide yourself with really life, this going back and reclaiming your life. So what was that journey like for you?
So that was kind of like a breaking point. And as I said, like, I'm very stubborn and I just go. So I just kind of switched direction. And now I was very determined to find the truth. This is not who we are. This is not like, we didn't come here to suffer. We didn't come here to work hard. That no matter what everyone is telling me, this is not the truth. And the driver was one question. I really wanted to remember who I am. I wanted to remember who I was. And that accelerated, I would say, the second part of my journey when all these, what you can call spiritual experiences, happened to me, and involuntarily, really out-of-body experiences, astral travel, experiencing myself as a pure consciousness, as a thought, as an emotion, collapsing the mind into the void, into the black hole that is actually in the center of each consciousness. everything that has consciousness, and many others. And I remembered who I was, and it's not from books. It's like, okay. And that it's being said that death of a mind is the birth of wisdom. So that kind of gave me absolute clarity, absolute trust. I don't take reality as real or as serious. I really have fun. I have joy. There is no fear, because once we go beyond the mind, all fear, anxiety, stress, worrying about, oh my God, what's going on in your world or with my health, exists in the mind. And the mind actually perpetuates and recreates that reality. If you go beyond the mind, the body does whatever it needs to do. The natural mechanism, consciousness, the life force energy takes you wherever you need to be, and you just have a amazing ride, right? So yeah, so that's kind of
I love this.
here.
So what kind of like maybe what methods or what tools do you use to go deeper? Because what I hear yourself saying is like you're collapsing this kind of this ego-driven mind reality and going deeper within to really pull in and connect with our higher power, our infinite being, our pure positive energy. So what's the process that you take to get there?
There are a number of amazing healers, coaches, and other talented, people who help everyone depending on where they are on the journey. So telling you like, what did over the 10 years, I cannot wrap it up in like one thing. Mm-hmm. Once I was determined to, okay, I'm not living this way. There is no way. And I'm driven I am driven by future. When I never look past, it's like, oh, this was the past. My question always is, and this may help someone listening, is, because people are like, well, but I've done this, I have this experience, and now I have fear of future. I always ask myself and told myself, do I want to be living like this the next 30 years of my life? Even when that stuff happened to me, like every time I find myself in a situation that I don't like, is, do I want to? That is a complete switch, and there is no fear for me. It's like, yeah, no, I'm done. I don't want to. And I just shift instead of clinging onto the past, right? So I would say that first thing is that reality is the ultimate destroyer of the self. So if you want to,
that's really good.
if you want to know yourself, you have to abandon logic, abandon looking at reality as it is, and really go inside. And it can have a different perspectives. What does it mean? But if you have the drive, exactly what you need will come your way. This is the natural mechanism we have. So again, there are amazing coaches, amazing healers, and different people need different person, and they will come their way. Just like your clients, your audience is different than mine. That's why I say there is no competition, because people who are attracted to you will not be attracted to me. We have a special blueprint. Yeah. So everyone is valid. Everyone, what they are doing is valid. And whoever is attracted to me will come, because they are at the stage where they need me. As I'm not doing healing, I'm not doing clearing chakras, I'm not doing, meditation, I'm not doing that. I do shift into the higher consciousness, sometimes instantly. Not everyone is ready for that. Right? So things came into my way, people came into my way, and that kind of helped me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think that we were sitting around the other day having this conversation, and it was such a beautiful,
inner circle that I'm part of, which is amazingly spiritually aware women that, we can have these really profound conversations that, it's just a safe place to have these conversations, and we start having these even more profound insights and awarenesses, right? And so one of the comments that was stated there, like, here we are in this time and space and reality, and we're all sitting here having this conversation. And, at some point, somewhere along the path, we had this contract that this would show up in our life, to have this conversation, to have this interaction. And it just was like, it was such a beautiful thing to think of and look at in that way. And I agree with you. And I think it's almost like, I think sometimes when we look back at how things just like were like effortlessly, almost, I think, like orchestrated, where it's like, I do feel like we're like little puppets in this planet, and there's something, someone, whatever your belief is, like there's like, boop, and it's like, just, okay, we're doing like this orchestra performance, right? This grand theater, right? And it's beautiful, because it's like, sometimes we just don't have that clarity or awareness, where it's like, gosh, that felt like it happened, to me. And then a little bit later, we're like, oh, that happened for me. And now I see that, and as things unfold, it's really beautiful. We can take a peek at that and just almost step back for a moment and witness this journey, witness, where we're at. It's just a beautiful thing. And I agree with you as far as, I do think we're called to, some people are called to work with me, some people are called to work with you, some people are called to work with the next person, and vice versa. And just, it's all growing and expanding, and it's beautiful.
Absolutely. And what you said is absolutely true, that life is not happening to us, life is happening for us. The next step I would challenge you and everyone is really, there is nothing that is happening outside of you. You are alive. You are alive. So if we have the impression that something is being orchestrated and kind of like for us, it's us.
Yeah.
We orchestrate it. And that kind of the dissolving of the mind and the separation of, okay, so there is some higher power, even in spiritual, realms, like higher power, force, God, that is doing something to me. When you integrate into higher consciousness, it's like, it's you.
Yeah.
And then that's so profound, because if it's you, there is absolute trust in what you're doing. And for example, the undecisiveness is absolutely removed, because no matter what decision you do, no matter what action you do, that action does not matter. The action matters only if you function on the level of the mind as a human beings, as a conditioned human beings. When we function as our true self, every move I do, everything I say, everything is what I orchestrated, and it's the valid. Mm-hmm. And it takes me to the next step. I cannot fail. I cannot make mistake. That's absolute freedom. And that's absolute trust, because then you could just like, well, I just have fun. Yeah.
That's a beautiful way of saying it. And I appreciate the reframe on that, like saying like, hey, this is coming from within me. Like, my spirit, my being, my soul, my, it is here. It is me that gets to create this. We are these pure positive energy beings, and we get to create. And sometimes, even in my own life, there's this knowingness, this burning knowingness, this like, that I'm supposed to be doing, this in life. And it's really profound, because it's like when you sit back and you're like, wow, like this is really cool. And then like, as you play in that place of possibility, and you bring joy and love and gratitude and playfulness, like things start to go, like, it's just so, I just flew back from Newport Beach last night, super late night. And I met, and the person that I connected with, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly who I was supposed to connect with. And like, out of all the people in the world, and it's just really fascinating. just really fascinating. And
It
I just
is.
love it. It's
It is.
just so juicy. We were sitting, I grabbed some dinner at this bar area in the airport, and this lady and I just instantly connected, and like, we've known each other for lifetimes, I think. And so this other person sits down next to us, and we hug goodbye. We're like, see you later. And he's like, we had just met like 30 minutes earlier. And he's like, gosh, he's like, and this guy was kind of an interesting being, let's just put it that way. And he was like, he was joking at first, but he's like, I literally thought you guys had been like long-term friends. He's like, the energy that you guys had, it was like really like it was supposed to, you guys were supposed to meet at this time. It was really kind of cool that he was able to witness this, experience this, and then acknowledge it. And I was like, yeah, it was effortless. It was absolutely effortless.
Absolutely. And that's exactly, it's effortless way of being. And it's because we are human beings, not human doings. And what you just described is normal way of relationships. And we could all have that with everyone in our lives, parents, partners, friends, clients, anyone. But when we vibrate low in the mind's conditioning, there is this war of the conditions of the beliefs, and we don't see each other for who we are and for they are. So we try to change the person, and that's why we don't have these deep relationships with everyone. When we drop the mind and really shift into the higher consciousness, we perceive people differently, and we have this kind of like those kind of experiences with everyone, because again, you cannot perceive what you are not vibratory matched to. So the low energies, when people are kind of in low energies, they just are removed from your life, and you are just now meeting and experiencing this amazing connection. And that's exactly how it feels, what you just described. It's like I have that on daily basis with anyone. Is like, okay, we just met, and like, yeah, it feels like I've known you a lifetime. Yep.
Yeah. It is powerful. And I always go back to the evidence, right? Like, seeing this as evidence of like, hey, I contribute to this. I was this creator of this reality, and now it's showing up. I'm seeing it and saying, okay, here's the evidence that I'm this powerful, magnetic, pure positive energy person creating this reality. And I think it's so powerful.
That's amazing point. That's amazing point. And both, here's the thing, because everything outside of us, we created as consciousness, as pure consciousness and energy, we create our reality. The mind creates. It's the job of the physical mind. So fighting a reality is completely exhausting, and it's no use, because we created it. The reality is really there as a mirror for us to see what we created. And I often say, you created it. And people are like, well, there is no way I created my whatever I went through life. No, you created it, you just didn't know you did. So really looking, and this is another tip, looking at switching from pushing and forcing and kind of stepping away and like, okay, what is it around my reality that I don't like? And how did I create it? And what are my beliefs? Because my beliefs, my conditioning created it. And this takes really, really honesty, self-honesty, self-exploration, determination, not pointing to you need to change so I am happy, but okay, why am I miserable? And how I did created this miserability, right? And so this is where it starts. And then it continues when we kind of clear it, it continues to the experience you mentioned, like, ooh, I created this. I created this. So it's the same process, just different scale, emotional scale or vibratory scale.
Yeah. Yes. I love this. So powerful. This is a great conversation. I love it. So let's wrap up with, what kind of tip, tool, strategy that you can leave the audience with, that would something that they can take away today and start implementing?
Given the topic, I would say, look at your, look at your environment, look at everything or one thing or two things, start small, that you don't like, that bothers you. And instead of pointing and wanting to change that, that's useless. You will never do it. For the rest of your life, you can try, you will never do it. Instead of that, really sit down with it, look at it and like, okay, how am I creating it? And not creating, actually, we are a different person from a quantum, as a consciousness and from a quantum perspective, we are a different person every second. Every second we shift. But because we don't shift our metaphysical body, we recreate the physical body and the physical reality every second the same way. This is instant healing, by the way. This is instant removing anxiety or depression or anything. It's shift in the consciousness. So instead of pointing out there, you need to change, or this needs to change, ask the question, how am I creating this in my life? What do I need to believe about myself or about the world that this keeps showing up? You'll get the answer, I guarantee you.
Great homework. Great homework. So take a moment, write down these questions. Take the advice that Daniela just shared with us and take it to heart. Like, this is, anytime we have a desire to shift or change or anything, it starts with the inner work. It starts with the awareness, the desire to shift it and change it, and then taking the action to create that. So, and then as you do, like, look, as we talked about earlier, the evidence will show up, even from little tiny shifts of, gosh, I didn't get upset about that, Sif, versus, and then the bigger ones, it's like, wow, like, this is really cool. Like, I just had a client just the other day, she's really worried about taking the stage. And we just started planting seeds, and all of a sudden, within a week of this conversation, she just got a stage opportunity, and she's going on actually next Tuesday. And so she's just like, holy buckets, Teri. And so I'm like, it doesn't require much. Like, it can be, it's like you said, instantaneously shifts. And so I love that fact, right? Because it doesn't have to, we don't have to wait in the space and place for decades.
No.
It can be really powerful to clear it in just seconds. So love this. Fantastic tip. Great homework. Okay. So everyone, I just want you to put your pinky up. I'm doing it on the video. Just promise me that you'll take this opportunity to do this homework. Okay. Pinky promises are a real deal in my life. And so I used to be a therapist, and I'll know if you're lying. So just take this time, commit to yourself. And let's, because I just truly believe that when we do the work on ourselves, and every chance we get to have a little shift, we have a ripple effect of every single person, every single being in our community. And we can have massive transformation simply just making shifts in that way. So such powerful stuff. So Daniela, where can people connect with you on?
The best way, so I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. If people want to connect, the best way is to go to my site. It's danielasulek.com. And they can send me an email, and we can connect that way too.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise in this. And I look forward to staying in touch with you. Thank you for just being the light in the world.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.